I just want to say welcome and good morning to listeners and viewers. Welcome to another edition of To The Point. Today being Thursday, the 27th of April. Let me say good morning to those of you who are listening via Classic Radio, whether it's 105.5, 105.9, whatever part of the island, on the mainland Grenada or in our sister isles of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, you're listening. Good morning to you. Those of you via GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channels 20, good morning. What about our social media audience, our Facebook page? Good morning to those of you already viewing via our Facebook page. Those of you viewing via YouTube channels, good morning to you. Also, those of you via GBN's webpage, gbn.gd, good morning and welcome. I'm your host, GT. I'll be with you for the next hour. And yes, I do have guests in the studio with me this morning. Those of you viewing via GBN TV, you will see I do have for you, of course, members of the Immigration Department with me this morning, and we're in for a bit of a healthy discussion as always. Let me say good morning to my guests. We have for you Sergeant Lewis. Good morning to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning to you. Pleasant good morning. I'm happy to be here.
You know, they say there's an option of saying, ladies first, but my bad on that. But Constable Alexis, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and good morning to the listeners.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome. Our focus this morning will be on, you being part of the Immigration Department. So we'll be focused on, folks who will be coming, and we say entry to the island, folks who like to come into the island illegally. We go spend some time. You're going to give us some, of course, some synopsis of it and how the process should roll and so forth. Now, the Immigration Department. It's a question I just want to ask to get the ball rolling. How important is the Immigration Department in any country?
Immigration, of course, is in some cases it says is the gateway to the country. And as Immigration Department, we normally say that we operate on twofold. One being that of national security and the other tourism. Now, as immigration officers, we are cognizant of that, and it's important for us to do justice in both areas. We have a responsibility as border protection officer to ensure that whoever comes in meets the requirement and comes in for good reason. On the other hand, we are tourism ambassadors, if you may. And we are expected to greet the people and be very welcoming in what we do. So we operate on the two premises. Yeah. So I think our role is very important. It's critical for the country, for the tourism product, and of course the national security of the country.
All right, interesting. I just wanted to get out of the ball because some folks may say immigration. Why do we need immigration? Some folks may say that. So why do we need immigration? Even though you gave us an answer on the two folds, why do we need immigration in our countries? Who will take that up?
Well, I think immigration is needed in any country. What we do entails a lot of what affects the people. Just to give an overview of what the immigration do on a day-to-day basis. Of course, we regulate the influx of persons coming in and persons leaving as well. And we issue travel documents. We do extensions. We enforce work permits and so on and so forth. So there's a number of things the Immigration Department do on a day-to-day basis. We offer, as long as in the area of travel documents. From time to time, person may have an emergency, and they're required to travel within a very short space of time, where they may not be able to obtain a travel document within the required time. We offer that express service where we can process the document, even if it's a holiday or weekend or something like that. We always try to meet the demands of our people. So our role is very important. It's dynamic, and I think we're doing just what is expected of us in that regard.
All right. Our key focus this morning will be on illegal entry, deportation. Let's how do you summarize or should I say not only summarize, but how do you describe the process of someone coming into the country illegally, for the benefit of someone who may not understand? Well, what are the ways in terms of individual could be deemed as coming into the country illegal? If to put the question in that way.
Go ahead. Good morning again. Persons entering our state must come through either the airport or one of our seaports, where you must present yourself to an immigration officer. So coming in any other way, of course, we're going to deem it as being an illegal entry. All right. So, for instance, we have the airport, then we have ports, we have the Port Louis, we have the port in Carriacou, we have one in St. David's. So, if you come in on Grandins Beach or in Sotes, there is no immigration officer there. This is not a port of entry.
Okay.
Then, of course, we're going to deem it as illegal entry.
Okay. All right. The process of someone coming into the island illegal, how is that dealt with?
Whenever it is discovered that someone comes into the island illegally, that person, of course, would be brought in, questioned, and a report would be forwarded, and that person would be charged and taken to court. When the matter is brought before the court, whatever is being handed down, the magistrate or so hand down to in terms of sentencing, whether it be a fine or whether it be imprisonment. Let's take imprisonment, for example. That person has been sent to prison and remain there for the duration. After that time, the person would be deported or removed or expelled, if you want to call it. Basically, there are three main types of expulsion. Deportation, and I'll explain what a deportation is shortly. We have removal, and we have asked to leave, or RLL. Now, deportation is an order signed by the Minister for Immigration requiring a person or alien to leave or to be removed and remain out of the country.
All right.
That's a deportation.
Now, before you move forward, how does someone gets to get that order to be deported? Is it because of a particular crime they commit, only crime, so that the deportation order is out, or that the particular reason someone has to be deported?
Well, that's the ground we use. Someone can be deported if they commit a crime, as the sergeant correctly stated. They commit some offense against the state, and they be placed in prison after they term, after they sentence. Then the order has been made up, and as the sergeant correctly stated, it must be signed by the Minister for National Security, in our case, which is our Prime Minister, and then the order is served on the person, and the person is deported, right? There are other ways it can be done. In reference to someone, the overstay and all these different things. But as the sergeant go forward to explain the other areas, we will see how the department works on it differently.
So Sergeant, tell us about the other ways in terms of individual could be told to leave the island.
The other way is a removal order, and that is an order. It's been an order signed by the magistrate on the application of the Chief Immigration Officer or the Immigration Department, and that order would be signed requiring that person to be removed out of the country.
How does someone qualify to be removed from there?
Well, like I said, in the case of illegal entry, now, as it relates to the deportation now, the order is being sought in cases where there are serious offenses.
Okay.
maybe somebody has committed a serious crime, breach of the national law, something like that, and an order is being given. Now the removal order is a more softer approach. You know, someone might come into the country just illegal entry. You know, that order would be signed, and that person would be sent to prison pending the removal.
All right. So is it only illegal entry one will qualify for that particular process?
No. The law speaks about just let me reference the law. You can be an undesirable. You know, an undesirable means someone who's breach of good order and public morals and good government and so on. You know, so you can be an undesirable. You can be a destitute person. You know, along that line. So it's not only in the case of illegal entry, but as I said, it's a softer approach whereby we use a judicial. It's more a judicial order, you know, as it relates, as opposed to the deportation order, which is signed by the minister.
Okay.
And if you're sent out on a deportation order, which means that you must get permission from the minister to return.
Okay.
If you fail to do that and you return, which means you're in breach of that.
So once you get deported, you are not always qualified to return, except the minister, of course, exonerate that order before and allow you to come back again. And in most cases, that doesn't happen. In most cases, that may not happen, depending on, because you said deportation is like the top of all. You know,
the expulsions.
Expulsion. So which means you commit a particular crime, and we know that the crime have a level of severity. You know, it's very severe, so you have to be deported. Most times, someone have to commit a crime of that nature to be deported. You understand?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. And the one where you said leave, which means someone is from a different nationality. Most like that's most cases where you get somebody deported. They're from a different nationality or for whatever, and then whatever, as you said, depending on the nature of what the crime that they put, may not always be a crime. But you know, misbehavior, whether you know you behaving, and it's just not becoming whatever we do as natural citizens. You understand? So you may ask to leave the island. So that's where that process of leave. You were telling us about another way someone could be asked to leave.
Yeah, I was saying asked to leave. Asked to leave, yeah. We didn't deal with the asked to leave.
We didn't deal with the asked to leave, yeah.
Yeah, the asked to leave is whereby somebody may have let's take, for example, they probably come in and they overstay. Or probably they come in illegally, you know, and they're not of any major threat, but they're here and they didn't check to, so, you know, we maybe just take a softer approach and ask that person to leave based on the circumstances.
All right. So that actually is, okay, someone, maybe they didn't come in illegally, but maybe overstayed their time on island. They were given a couple of months. Usually when you're coming immigration check you, they give you a time period which you're allowed to stay on island.
Yeah.
You overstayed that time for whatever reason, and then you may be asked to leave.
So, yes, that's right.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you decide that you want to stay beyond the time that's granted by the immigration officer, then the correct procedure to do is to come to the main office and apply for an extension of stay. An extension of stay where you pay $75 per month, right? And that's a legal way. So as the sergeant correctly stated, if the person overstayed the time, so you've been here a whole year and a half illegally, and when you come to the office, as the sergeant correctly stated, we take a softer approach, right? So we may ask you to clear it up. You know, clear up your bill with the state, and then the department may ask you to return to your country because you came in illegally or you overstayed your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
We drew for a break. Let's take it. We come back and we should chat some more. It's to the point for today, Thursday, the 27th. Folks, let's take a break. We're coming right back. Stay with us.
Here's what customers had to say about Dormos windows and doors.
The service was excellent with Domas.
Excellent customer service.
Just out of frustration, searching, and just came across you, and I think it was the best, one of my best find ever.
A good feature is that I didn't have to install any burglar proofing on the door because they have laminate glass.
The manufacturing time was on point.
Thanks for what you all are doing. I will continue to be a customer.
Visit Caribbean Shutters, Windows and Doors for Dormos quality UPVC solutions.
Get ready to experience the ultimate Spice Mass launch 2023. On Friday, April 28th, the Stadium Car Park will be transformed into an electrifying arena of raw talent and energy. Starting at 5:30 p.m., you'll be blown away by the incredible lineup of artists set to grace the stage, including Boise, Terra the Governor, Lil Natty and Thunder, Lava Man, Looney Spark and Electrify, Jab King, Lil Kerry, Lil Jello, Dash, Crave, Mozo, Scala, and many more. But that's not all. Prepare to be amazed by the traditional mass, Moko Jumbies, Jab Jab, Short Knee, and Veko. Plus, your reigning Panorama champs, Co-op and Comancheros, will also be there to add to the excitement. And the best part, it's completely free. The Stadium Car Park is the place to be on Friday, April 28th. Get ready for an epic night that you'll never forget. Spice Mass, the evolution. Let me say welcome back to our listeners and our viewers this morning. I do have, of course, representatives from the Immigration Department with us this morning here on To The Point. And our chief focus of conversation this morning, we're talking, our focusing mostly on illegal entry, deportation, the process that goes through. I want to come back to Sergeant Lewis and Alexis. Want to come back, both of you. No, we spoke a lot in terms of, the illegal entry, how does it one qualify for deportation and so forth. My next question on this point is that who is responsible, or who's responsible for issuing that deportation order? You did mention in the initial conversation that we had, yes, the minister, the judge, but how does the process get to that level where they have to put down that order?
Okay, when it is discovered that somebody renders themselves undesirable or prohibit alien or whatever the case may be, a report is being sent to the Attorney General for review. And after being reviewed, the deportation order is made out and sent to the Prime Minister's or the Minister for Immigration for signing. When that order is signed, a copy has been served to the subject or the person ending the time of deportation. All right. As it relates to the removal order, an application is made to the magistrate by the immigration officer who signs that order, and that person is being detained with a view of being removed. Now, if that person so desires to return to the island, they can apply to the chief immigration officer to return on that's when they leave on a deportation order.
Okay.
With the removal order, with the deportation order is a bit different. Yes. You have to get the permission from the Minister for National Security.
Okay.
If you're asked to leave, in most cases, it's just an immigration policy whereby probably you minor infractions as it relates to immigration. So maybe you would have to seek permission from the chief immigration officer, or if it's a case whereby you're probably here and you overstayed for a particular period of time, you may come back, but you may ask to pay for the extensions.
Okay.
So persons, from time to time, persons might overstay here, and for whatever reason, they're not in a position to pay for the time they would have extended. As Ms. Alexis said, $75 per month. So one might overstay for a couple of months, and when the immigration steps in, then he may not be in a position to pay that money, so he will ask to leave. But on his return,
you may have to pay.
He may have to pay.
You have to pay for the time.
Yeah.
That been there in before.
Yeah, the time he has been overstayed before we can accept.
Okay. Let me also ask this question: when someone is deported or someone is asked to leave, someone is and so forth, is there a time factor? Okay, you were asked you will be deported. There's a time factor when someone, you said you're given 24 hours, an hour in terms of in those processes.
Returning?
No, in terms of to leave. Okay, when someone is deported, I've been asked, or will be deported. Is there a time factor for that?
28 days you have on a deportation order, and if that 28 days has passed, then we would have to apply for another order to have that person removed. But if someone should leave within that time and return, let's say they spend a couple of years out, months, and they come back, then without seeking the necessary permission, and they've been caught, they can be removed on this same order.
The same order. Okay.
They left with, because the order would still be in effect.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Which I'm trying to grasp it for you. So if I was actually should be deported, all right, and I leave, and you said 28 days someone has when a deportation order is granted for that individual to leave. So I have 28 days to leave. But if I leave before the 28 days and I try to come back again, is it an instant deportation for me now, or the same order still stands for the 28 days?
But then you'll be charged for a breach of an order. So the order is basically to leave or to remove and remain out.
Okay.
You have to stay out.
All right.
Yeah. You could only return with the permission from the minister.
All right. In the process of asked to leave, if someone was asked to leave, you overstayed your time, and they leave the island, whatever island they go to from wherever their nationality, where their nationals from, and they spend 6 months a year and returned. What is that process? How does that process be taken care of by the immigration?
Well, let's say in most cases, depend on the circumstances. If there's no major infraction or breach of the law, then you come back as a normal person.
Come back. All right.
Yeah, you come back as a normal person. Hence the reason why there's a different level, if you may. The deportation order is the serious part.
Okay.
Most serious part.
All right. I want to, for the benefit of the listeners and viewers out there, because some may be concerned about the law that governs, deportation and acts of leave and so forth. I don't know if Alexis could focus on that for us and let us know probably the laws that governs why someone will be deported, and how does the law fit into this? So give us a bit of tell us the law.
Okay, so the section of the law that speaks to the deportation is in the Immigration and Passport Act, Chapter 145, and Section 26, which speaks on the power to make deportation order. And as we explained, it states that the minister may, in any of these cases mentioned in subsection 2, to make a deportation order requiring an alien to leave or to be removed from and to remain out of Grenada. And in essence, that's what Sergeant Lewis explained. So it goes on to say the persons: A convicted person in respect of whom a court certifies to the minister that the alien has been convicted and recommends that a deportation order should be made in his or her case, either in addition or in lieu of sentence. B, an undesirable person. C, a destitute person. Or D, a prohibited alien. So that section of the law speaks of persons of the deportation order. And Sergeant Lewis spoke about persons in breach of the order. And I just want to read this part first so persons will understand how serious it is. Right? So this section I spoke about the penalties for breach of order, which is section 34, it says if a person with respect to whom a restriction order is in force leaves an attempt to leave or enters or attempt to enter an area in the contravention of its previous of the provisions of the order, or willfully neglects or refuses to report himself or herself as ordered, or having left or entered any place, willfully fails to observe any condition attached to such permission, he or she shall be guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction to imprisonment for 6 months and to a fine of $1,500. So what that is stating, as the sergeant said, if you're being deported and you return, because once you're deported, you stay out. Exactly. So once you return without the permission, as clearly stated, where you seek permission from the Minister of National Security, now on that on return, now you have breached the deportation order. So you will be in prison for 6 months, and the fine here is $1,500.
And most likely that will be another illegal entry. Anyway.
Of course. Of course.
Be an illegal entry.
Yes.
Because if you're deported, there's no way you will come into the
yes.
correct process of trying to get back on island.
Yes.
It's only obvious.
So in essence, we act based on what is in our law, right? So we have the act that guide us as immigration officers.
All right. Interesting. Don't forget, listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two you would like to ask the immigration officers, feel free to do so. 435-2041, 435-2041. Now, another bit of conversation we want to get into. Grounds for refusal to leave the land. That's how. Who would like to explain that to me?
Okay. So, Section 4 of the Immigration Act speaks to a prohibited alien. And being a prohibited alien, that's a reason for leave to land, and it also could refuse leave to land, and it can also be a reason for deportation. Now, Section 4A speaks to a person who is likely, if he enters Grenada, to become a public charge by reason of infirmity of body or mind, or who is not in possession of sufficient means to support themselves. So if one should come in at the port of entry, because that's where refuse leave to land take place, at the port of entry. And after being questioned, or it is discovered that that person not in a position to support themselves. Let's take, for example, that person may say they're here for 2 months and they'll be staying at a hotel.
And they have no official residence in Grenada.
Yeah.
Official residence for Fort.
And they only have $500. That in itself is not sufficient enough to support yourself while you're here. And so these are one of the grounds, is one of the grounds for refusal. Now, if we allow somebody to enter, given that situation, what you may find happening, subsequently that person may become a destitute person. And a destitute person means a person who cannot, of course, support themselves and maybe turn to living on the street, and eventually might lead to crime, stealing, housebreaking, or something like that. So all that ties into the whole aspect of border protection, or border control. And that's one of the main reasons for our existence. Now, assuming that there's no immigration to make that determination as to who's qualified based on what the law says, then you would find persons may just coming in, and for whatever reason, after a while they turn to be destitute, homeless, and we might have a spate of crime, robberies.
They become a burden on the state now.
Most likely. And which would, of course, stretch our our law enforcement and so on, then we have to put all sort of measures in place to solve crime rather than to prevent the crime. Right. So then it's really something we take at heart. So those are the and all the areas as it relates to prohibited aliens and refuse to live to learn are outlined here. B says the person who is unsound mind or mentally defective persons. Right. And we know what mentally defective person is. So we have to protect our border in the sense, we cannot allow that.
So I'm assuming someone of that nature comes in into the port. I mean, is there a way of identifying that, being immigration officers? How do we identify individuals of that nature?
Well, we as immigration officer has the power to make recommendation. If for whatever reason that person may appear to be unsound, we can summon the medical practitioner or have them see, medical, refer them, make the referral, who would in turn make that determination as to whether that person is of sound, mind or not mentally defective.
We do have a caller. Let's entertain our caller and we come back and explain some more. Okay. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Good morning to you, caller.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, lady and sirs. I heard you said that the Minister of National Security, to some extent, has the right to to sign something or to give permission or to refuse permission. Bear in mind, you all are the immigration officer. I am wondering if it's interpreting the law or understanding the law in the immigration laws. How could the Minister of National Security perhaps bypass you? And the laws are there. And he would either say, let him stay or let us stay or let him go back or whatever. Explain that to me. So maybe he could do other things too. In other words, if a man is pastoral jailed, the Minister of National Security could say, let him go. So I'm wondering, explain that to me. I'm a little bit perturbed.
All right, caller, thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, the minister responsible for immigration, that's what the act said, right? And the minister responsible for immigration has the ultimate authority to make decision or regulations as it relates to immigration. Now, that power or that authority can be handed down, or in some cases, whenever immigration is whatever action we take is on the behalf of the Minister for National Security. So now, Minister for Immigration, sorry. So if a determination is made by an immigration officer, which means we're acting in the capacity, of the Minister for National Security.
Yes. Okay. All right. Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome. Good morning to you, caller. Welcome. Caller, good morning. Hello, good morning. Seems like no one is there. I'm seeing a question from someone via, of course, social media, and they're asking the question: if someone is deported, who is responsible for that ticket or whatever is needed to have that person return to whatever destination they came from?
All right. So the law speaks to that as well, and that's under Section 31 expenses. It says where a deportation order has been made, the minister may apply any monies or property of the person charged in payment of the whole or part of the expenses or incidental to the voyage from Grenada and the maintenance until the departure of the person of his or her dependents, if any. So in the case where someone will be deported, the expenses on that person bear the cost, right? Okay. There are ways that it can be done. Say the person have money, savings, or what case may be. Then we they will use that money to book the ticket, or sometimes in cases we contact the family, right? So in rare cases, it says here, except so far as they are deferred under the provisions of this section, such expenses shall be charged upon the consolidated funds. So if the person has no monies whatsoever, and then the country bear the cost. Yes, yes.
Okay, it's interesting. 435-2041. If you do have a question or two you'd like to ask, feel free to do so. Let's entertain this caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. I have a question for the officers. In relation to someone who has dual citizenship, that is a U.S. and Grenadian, is a holder of a Grenadian passport, which has expired. The person is still living in the U.S. What is required?
Thank you, caller. Anyone want to chime in?
Once you're a citizen of Grenada, all you need to do is prove that.
Yeah.
At your port of entry.
Some form of identification.
Yes.
And the law speaks to that. So if you're holding an American passport and you present at the port of entry, you presented that passport, providing that you're born in Grenada and the passport will show that you're born in Grenada, you'll be treated as an American citizen. But if you're a Grenadian citizen and you can prove that to the satisfaction of the immigration officer, then you'd be treated as a Grenadian.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. I'm seeing someone is asking this question also. Can a Grenadian traveling on an American passport given time at MBIA?
Yes, it depends. Now, if you're a Grenadian and you didn't establish that to the immigration officer, then you would be treated as an American, as I mentioned earlier. So all you need to do is just prove that.
Okay.
Now, if your passport says born in Grenada, then...
But even if it's an American passport,
then you're treated as a Grenadian.
Yes, that would be taken notice of, and then you'll be treated as a Grenadian.
Yes.
But let's say you obtain Grenadian citizenship or you obtain a Grenada passport by descent, but you was born in America, and you come to Grenada with the American passport, and you didn't prove to the satisfaction of the Grenada, the immigration authority that you're a Grenadian by descent, then you would be treated as an American. However, if you've been granted time at the airport, you can subsequently bring whatever supporting document you have to show that you're in fact a Grenadian, and then you cannot be charged for overstay or anything like that, because you're already
your passport may show a different nationality, but you can prove my mom is Grenadian, my father
I hold a Grenadian passport and so forth.
So like, as the sergeant stated, you cannot prove it at the airport. So you're at the airport and you do not have the documents to prove in front of the immigration officer. Then when that person lands then you have your documents, you come to the main office and you present yourself to the immigration officers there, and we see it, we are satisfied, and you're okay. Yeah.
Let's entertain another caller. Caller, good morning, welcome.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I wasn't listening to the program thoroughly, but I want to find out, for the first time, I have not have an up-to-date passport, and normally, because of the COVID mainly, I don't have I think my passport expired, I think, in 2021. How soon, what do I have to do now? Now that you have gone electronically, what do I have to do now if I want a passport and I want it as quickly as possible? And can you tell me the cost of the passport?
Okay, caller.
Okay, sir. So your passport expired in 2021 and you want to get a new one. So what you need to do is to complete the passport form. The passport fee is $250. You are going to walk with your expired passport. You can take your photographs at our office. If you need your passports within a 24-hour period, you can pay the expedited service, which is an additional $100. If you need it within a 48-hour period, you can pay the express service, which is $50 additional. So complete your form, walk with your old passport, and you can take your photos at our office free of cost, and you pay your passport fee, which is $250.
All right. We do have another question. We drew for a break, but let's just entertain this question before the break. And this individual is asking a question. They're saying that kayaks traveling, gets folks from Carriacou, traveling to Grenada back to Carriacou, been asked to present an ID before boarding the Osprey or something that such for security and other parts of St. George. The question they're asking is that immigration protocol has asked a Grenadier for identity traveling to another part of Grenada. They asked that's. I didn't get the gist of the question.
To Carriacou.
Grenada to Carriacou, they probably seen it as, you being Grenadian, travel to Carriacou to Grenada.
Under the Immigration Act is not geared. It's targeted aliens. As the Act says, it's an act to. Just let me go back. It's an act to impose restriction on immigration and to regulate the deportation of aliens. Right? So it's not really geared to target Grenadians. Now, probably that may be a policy as it relates to the ID card. Probably that may be a policy for the maybe the ferry or the airlines.
But it's not an immigration policy.
No, it's not an immigration policy whereby because that's inland. That's interstate. So it's not really anything in the Immigration Act that speaks to that. What the Immigration Act speaks to as it relates to being a Grenadian, you have to prove that you're a Grenadian when you're coming in, and in the absence of that, you'll be treated as if you were an alien.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have a responsibility to prove to the immigration officer that you're a Grenada, and that's why people coming into Grenada. There's no reference to people moving within Grenada.
Okay, great. Let's take a break. I'll be coming right back. We, of course, entertain more of your calls and questions if you do have any. We'll be coming right back. Stay with us, folks.
Do you know, when you play the games of the National Lotteries Authority, you are supporting sports, culture, and nation building in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique?
Hi, I am Junior Murray, cricket coach, sports enthusiast, and a former West Indies cricketer. I endorse the games of the NLA 100%. For the past 40 years, the NLA has been funding many sporting activities, including competition for schools and clubs, and for athletes to participate in overseas tournaments such as the Carifta Games and the regional cricket tournaments. Additionally, they made it possible for you, the public, to view local, regional, and international tournaments from the comfort of your homes. For those reasons, I play the game of the NLA. Even if I do not win, I know Grenada always wins.
Yes, when you play all the games, the NLA in turn supports sports, culture, and nation-building activities throughout the Tri-Island state.
No, girl, that was yesterday. I can't believe what they said that. She didn't. Mom, can you help me, please? I'm having some trouble understanding. No, are you serious? Mom, can you help me, please? So you all sit down and say that? Okay then, bye.
Here. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's ensure that you're well prepared for this exam.
Parents, you have a crucial role to play in helping to prepare your children for the CPEA exams. Help them or seek additional help so that they can revise the concepts they learn at school and give them a better chance to be successful and move on to the next phase of their lives. A message from the National Parenting Program, Ministry of Social and Community Development, Housing and Gender Affairs.
Welcome back to our listeners and viewers this morning. It's to the point for today, Thursday, the 27th. And with me this morning, I guess we have for you members of the Immigration Department. Let's take a caller before we get into continue the program this morning. Caller, good morning. Welcome.
Yes, good morning again. Thanks for answering the question prior. But my question in relation to the dual citizenship and the expired Grenadian passport, what is required since the person is living abroad?
Okay, caller, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the question. So I believe if you're living in the U.S. and you have a Grenadian passport and it's expired, now we have offices in the U.S. the mission. We have one in New York, one in Washington, one in Miami. So you can use the consulate offices out there, and you apply for your passport there, and you get it back through them. If you're living in London, we have one there. We also have an office in Canada. In the Caribbean, we have one in Trinidad. So you can use the mission to apply for your passport.
All right. Now, a question I would like to ask you this morning is pertaining to CARICOM nationals in terms of the grounds for refusal to leave and land. How does that fit into it?
Based on the CARICOM arrangement, there's only two grounds for refusal. Two grounds that CARICOM national can be refused, and the two grounds are charge on the public purse, which means insufficient funds, and undesirable, threat to national security, public order, and so on. Unlike persons from out of the region. So these are the only two grounds we have under the CARICOM arrangement to refuse a CARICOM national. As it relates to the OECS, well, the OECS member states have an indefinite stay within the countries. So if one coming out from St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Antigua, and so on, upon arrival, they're being granted indefinite stay.
All right.
So which means you don't have anything much to prove. You don't have
to prove that you're from St. Vincent and you come to stay here. You have the required documents for landing, and you're free.
Yeah, you're at liberty to work. You can live freely as a Grenadian. You know,
once you didn't come into the island illegally.
Yes.
Okay, great. And don't feel free, you viewers and listeners. We just have about 10 more minutes left on today's program. If you do have a question or two you'd like to ask the officers, feel free to do so. Let me see if I can grab some questions from some folks via the Facebook page this morning. And one individual said, she's saying that they live in the U.S. and have two children. They want to get them Grenadian passports. How can I go about the process? What's the process they use to go about getting their passports?
Okay, so your process is very simple. Your children birth certificates, that's the U.S. birth certificate, specifically the live birth. That's the one that have all the information, your information as a mother, because that is what we use to prove the descent. So your birth certificate, which is a Grenadian parent, your children birth certificate, you complete the passport form, you pay the passport fee, and the photographs. That's how you go ahead doing it, because they're Grenadians by descent.
It's as simple as that.
Very simple.
As simple as that.
Yes.
All right. 435-2041, 435-2041. If you do have a question or two, you'll have to ask the immigration officers, feel free to do so. As I look around, if you do have any other questions from, let me get this one from the WhatsApp this morning. This individual is saying that you get your picture of the officer who signed the picture for verification. I'm not sure.
Okay, I think I understand what he's asking. That's a person who will be taking photos at our office. So once you're taking your picture at our office, there is no need to sign to certify the back of the photograph.
Okay.
Because the photo is already, it will be taken, the officer already sees you. That's the verification, that's all. There's no need to verify it. If you're coming with photos, on the other hand, it needs to be verified by the person recommending your form.
Caller, good morning, welcome. Good morning to you, caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Would like to ask a question.
Caller, would you mind turning down whatever device you have in the background, please? And maybe you could try calling us back after you have that taken care of. And okay, so let's see if I have any other folks have any other question that they'd like to throw out this morning. This individual is asking, Can a CARICOM national traveling Grenada from the U.S. with a CARICOM, let's say, St. Lucia issue passport that is due to expire in 3 months from the date of travel to Grenada with that passport? That's one part of the question. The length of stay is 10 days during the month of August 2023. Passport expires in December of 2023.
But certainly, as long as the document is valid, then you can travel with it. There's no issue with that. And I'm not sure if they're saying they're OECS national. I heard St. Lucia.
You said CARICOM, so I'm assuming it was OECS more or less.
Yeah, well, and if they come to Grenada with the OECS travel, the St. Lucia passport in this case, then you will be granted indefinite stay.
Yeah, you can just come and stay.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting to know. As we move along this morning, 435-2041. If you do have another question or two, or officers, there's anything you'd like to go over, just a way of clarification that we missed before we take a wrap this morning.
I don't think there's anything much to that we missed. The whole issue of illegal entry always a concern for us, and especially at the coastal areas. We have seen from time to time person comes in, especially OECS national who doesn't even have to have
through that process.
Yes, you could come and I'm not sure if they're not aware, or probably they come for the wrong reason. But we just like to make an appeal for persons to do the right thing.
Yes.
And that it's our responsibility as Grenadians to do that.
A quick question I would like to ask, as you said that, OECS individuals coming in, because this issue, an OECS individual comes in, they come through the port, they present, but then the financial aspects of it, would that be questioned in any way at all?
For OECS?
For an OECS individual. No, you say they can stay indefinite, but supposedly, they cannot prove where they're going to stay, their financials, their financial they have is limited, and so forth. How could that be dealt with? No, even though they can stay indefinite, how could that be dealt with? Well, it could be a little ticklish, yeah?
It's not much of a big issue because remember, if you come in as an OECS national, then you can work. You're free to work.
You're free to work.
You don't need work permit or anything like that.
Yeah.
You're coming in as if you're coming in as a Grenadian. So you may not have enough money, but you can work.
But no, I'm just asking the question. No, the person may not have relatives, family in Grenada. I mean, would that be a question, an issue there? Would not be.
No, but it's a responsibility on the traveler to have somewhere to stay. I don't think anybody would just
come to the island,
and then you really don't have any way. Probably you might have somewhere to stay for a limited time. But if you've been given indefinite stay, then you might choose to get your own place after a period of time, because you can work, you can enjoy all the benefit in terms of free as a Grenadian. So.
Okay, let's entertain a caller. Caller, good morning and welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to ask a question concerning an individual leave Grenada, take the plane and go to Trinidad and Tobago, pass through the normal route, go to Trinidad with the plane. But somehow the person went in St. Vincent, passed back from St. Vincent, come through Union Island, come through Petit Martinique, and come back to Grenada. Is that illegal? That's one of the questions. That's the first question. And remember, I said that you leave here and you go to Trinidad and Tobago normal. But somehow you pass St. Vincent, and through St. Vincent you get your boat and you come to Petit Martinique. You come from St. Vincent, Union Island, Petit Martinique, and come down to CARICOM and you come back Grenada, but not through the normal immigration procedures. I want to know if that is legal. And secondly, one recognize that you have a problem coming from St. Vincent because a lot of guns are coming from there and come down to through St. Vincent, probably coming to Petit Martinique, coming to Grenada. That could be a Ministry of National Security concern later on. Well, how do immigration handle that?
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Yes, you have a responsibility to check with immigration. It doesn't matter where you come from or which part of the island you enter, but you have a responsibility to check at a registered port. So if you come from Union Island, I don't think the proper thing to do would be to go to Carriacou. That's where we have a immigration checkpoint. There's no checkpoint in Petit Matnik. So you would have to get clearance first in Carriacou, and then if you desire to go to Petit Matnik, then you can do so. But there's no issue as long as you do the right thing. True. And the right thing is to check with immigration on your arrival.
All right. So let's entertain another caller before we take a wrap for this morning. Caller, good morning.
Hello, good morning. I've been listening to your program. Something I find is not really fair when you refer to people as aliens. Growing up, you were told an alien is like from a different planet, as opposed to be saying non-national or something like that. But alien sounds wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller.
Well, well, I understand where you're coming from, but if we're gonna reference the Immigration Act, the Act speaks about alien, you know, and you're right. Alien mean under the Act a person who is not a citizen of Grenada. But just to use the term or the references of the Act, we say alien. So it may sound kind of distant to you, but it's just the term used.
Just the terminology in terms of referencing someone because they're from somewhere else.
Yes.
All right. Officers, I'm not sure if any closing statement you'd like to make. We're strapped for time. We're about to take a wrap for today. Any closing remarks?
Well, we just want to encourage persons out there and persons listening on throughout different media. Once, as the Sergeant clearly stated, if you're coming from CARICOM, coming from OECS, just make sure you present yourself to an immigration officer. Try to avoid coming through the country illegally. You come through the proper channel, you enjoy, you live freely, especially OECS nationals. Even some of us who may have friends that are coming from different countries, let's also encourage them to come in through the proper channels, and we all need to look out for the safety of our country. We know the purpose of the Immigration Department, and we are trying our best daily to ensure that we keep our borders safe, and we follow the act that guide us, our Immigration Act.
All right.
But just
any final thing?
Just let me add, it's an offense to harbor someone who has come in illegally. So just to sensitize the public, someone might visit you from a neighboring island and you know that person hasn't checked with immigration and you house that person, which means you're committing an offense. So please encourage persons to do the right thing as we strive to protect our borders and ensure that our country remains safe.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Let's say thank you once again to the officers for being here this morning. Certainly fruitful information. And let me thank all our viewers and listeners for being with us this morning. Thank you so much. All those who contribute some way, whether it's via the phone calls, the comments via the Facebook or WhatsApp. Thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of To The Point for today. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of To The Point. Be good to yourself and others. Have yourself a lovely day. That's what we say goodbye for this edition of To The Point.